Alright. I have a bell ringer for y'all. Let me publish it real quick. I forgot. Alright, I just published a bell ringer. It's just questions from yesterday, from the lesson from yesterday that you should have gone over. Alright, just a few announcements or reminders. Um, let's see. Alright, so a few announcements or reminders. Grade recovery folders, all of them are open. First 9 weeks if you need it, second 9 weeks if you need it, and also third 9 weeks. Third 9 weeks is due by the end of this month, so that's the 30th. They want us to have everything turned in. So make sure that you're looking at the dates. If you look at the Great Recovery folder, they should have dates of when they're going to close down on there. I think first 9 weeks is the 11th. I think second 9 weeks is probably like the 25th or something like that, and then third 9 weeks is the 30th. So if if you need to complete, like if you started on something, you didn't finish it, or you haven't started, and y'all got like pretty simple stuff, I know, for second 9 weeks and third 9 weeks. So if you need to take the opportunity to get your grade recovered if you failed for either of those grading periods, so that you can pass for the year. Because if not, you will have to take career prep again, because it is required for you to to graduate in the state of Alabama. So it's a required course. So if you have questions about grade recovery, feel free to ask me. I'll help you any way that I can. Testing starts next week, so April 14th through the 16th will be testing for work keys. I will be testing for work keys, so we won't have live conferences the 14th, 15th, and 16th. So next week, April 14th, 15th, and 16th, we won't have live conferences. So that means you just need to log in and see what I have for you in your folder. You'll have stuff in your folder, which I will only see y'all Thursday of next week. Well, I will see y'all Tuesday, but like as far as another day, it will be Thursday that we won't see each other. Now 13th we have regular class. 12th and 13th we have regular class, and then 14th, 15th, 16th is testing. So just remember, Thursday we won't have a conference. You'll just log into and look into your class folder. But we will have a conference on the 13th, just not the 15th for that. So that's the only one that I'm testing for. So the rest of the time that we're having testing, the next 2 weeks after that, we will have conferences, unless I'm out or something like that. But we will have conferences the rest of the time, since that's the only test I'm testing for, unless something changes. But right now I'm just doing work keys. So that's that, and I'll remind y'all again next Tuesday when we have class. I'll remind y'all that we won't have a conference on that Thursday. Make sure you're attending your conferences for your classes, not just this class, but all classes. That is so you can know what's going on. This is the last 9 weeks of the year, and some of y'all need to make sure that y'all are getting stuff done and knowing what's happening, and getting the right directions. Even if you don't attend, if you happen to miss conference for like appointment or something like that, make sure you're looking at the recording so you'll know what's happening. Also, make sure that you're adhering to your due dates for things, for your assignments and stuff, because late points are being deducted. At this point in the year, y'all should kind of know how I grade, and know how things go. So you should know to keep track of your assignments and your know when your due dates are. With that being said, I started grading. I think I got 2 more to do. The assignment, how to get out of here. Okay. Okay, so what y'all were supposed to do was to pull up your grades in iNow. If you didn't have your information, I could have looked it up for you. You're supposed to pull up your information iNow and tell me what you got first 9 weeks, what you got second 9 weeks, what you got third 9 weeks. And if it's designed to let you know or be aware of what your grades are, where you stand in the class, so that you know what you need to strive for in order to pass the class, and also give you opportunity, if you know you need to do grade recovery, to do grade recovery, because if you didn't have a 60 or above, then you need to do grade recovery for that 9 weeks. I thought it was gonna be easy, Greg. I got some people that's not making 100 because they're not reading directions, not following the directions of what you're supposed to do. So, um, I'm almost done. Let me see how many more I got to put in. I opened JAWS back up so that y'all could, cause easy grades like this, I mean, I'm not gonna leave it up forever because it just makes no sense. All right. All right, so our introduction. Have you ever stopped to think how people who are retired are able to purchase goods and services? They don't work, so how can they have money? Maybe your grandparents give you money. Where does that money come from? According to the data that's compiled by the Social Security Administration, a man reaching age 65 today can expect to live on average until age 84.3. A woman turning age 65 today can expect to live on average until age 86.6. Most people retire close to age 65. This means you must have enough money to live on average 20 years after retirement, and that's just the average. Many more people today are living into their 90s. In order to ensure you have enough money to live comfortably in the so-called golden years, you must plan for them today. So that's another thing, like as far as saving, planning. You got to plan for after you're no longer able to work, or you're not working because of your retirement age. Although some people work well into their retirement age, some people just can't sit home and like to work. And so like we said, our objectives are to calculate simple interest, actuate compound interest using an online calculator, calculate the length of time to double your money using the rule of 72, explain how compound interest is beneficial in the future. Enduring understandings, the road to financial independence should begin at an early age in order to build wealth and achieve financial security. Proper management of money is essential to personal financial stability and success. All right, so interest. You've probably heard the term interest, but you probably don't know what it means or how it works. Interest can help people accelerate their savings. Where money is concerned, there are two types of people. You have savers who earn interest on their deposits and borrowers who pay interest to their loans. What would you rather be? In this lesson, we will explore two types of interest. You got simple and compound. So with interest, like if you're saving, so some type of some accounts you can accrue interest, means you can build interest on top of like how much money that you save in your account. You can get a percentage that they'll put with your money, so you're accruing interest by having a balance and by putting money into your account. And then borrow, like if you borrow money, say you get a car, you have a car loan, a house, um you have to pay interest on those loans. So like for example, my mortgage, because we have a house, we pay interest on it. And that's why people, because of the interest that's accrued on top of the total, that's why some people get into predicaments as far as paying things off. Like credit cards have interest on it, interest rates and stuff. That's how people get, over their head because of the interest. Because you got to think about, just you don't just want to pay the minimum payment. You want to pay something so it'll so it'll do something to the interest. All right, so you have what's called simple interest. It's a quick method of calculating the interest earned during one period. So your formula to calculate simple interest is I equals PRT, I being your interest, P being the principal. That's the original amount borrowed. So if you got a car for $30,000, um, and that's how you borrowed 30,000, that's your principal. Then you have R is your interest rate stated as a percentage, and then T is the time stated in terms of 1 year. So they give us an example. Sam deposits $1,000 in his savings account, which earns 3% interest. How much interest will he earn in 1 year? How much money will Sam have in 1 year? So to figure that out, you have I equals PRT. So we know I is interest, P is principal, R is your interest rate, and then T is your time. So to plug those in, I equals 1,000 times 3% times 1. So I equals $30. So in 1 year, he earns $30 of interest. So that means he'll have $1,030 in 1 year. So it doesn't seem like a lot, but you're still accruing interest. That's money that you didn't have to specifically put it in. So anything that you earn that you don't have to put in is great. So that's how simple interest works. All right, so compound interest example is in a video, which we can't look at because it's not gonna let us. But you can look at the presentation for compound interest when you get time. But also other things, you have a compound interest calculator that'll help you to calculate interest. And then let's see, we might look at this one. All right, so we're gonna move on to the rule of 72. So the article Rule of 72 definition from Investopedia defines a Rule of 72 as a simplified way to determine how long an investment will take to double given a fixed amount rate of interest. By dividing 72 by the annual rate of return, investors can get a rough estimate of how many years it will take for the initial investment to duplicate itself. Here is a formula to calculate how long your money will take to double. So length of time in years equals 72 divided by the interest rate. So they give us an example. If you're earning a 4% interest rate, divide 72 by 4, you can see that it would take 18 years for your investment to double. Now you are earning a 6% interest rate. How long would it take for your investment to double? If you have 6%, so that means you divide what to get? $12 years. Okay, because you're going to divide 72, which is your 72 here, divided by your interest rate. We know your interest rate is 6%. So it'll take 12 years. So 72 divided by 6 equals 12. So that's how they got 18. 72 divided by 4. Okay. So that's how you'll get your how long it'll take in years to double. Okay, does anybody have any questions about how they got that or the formula? And you need to make sure that you look at the compound interest presentation because it has a formula. Let me find it. Hold on. Let's see if it'll let me you're not gonna need the formula for compound interest because it's a calculator. I forgot that's in your lesson. So I'm gonna pull that up, what your assignment is. All right. So this will be your assignment today. So you have 4 different parts. All right, so for the first part, you're going to calculate simple interest. So remember, this is your formula for simple interest. So your interest is going to be equal to the principal times your rate times the time. So I equals PRT. So you got principal, rate, and then time. So round to the nearest dollar. Okay. So to give you an example, so we have $100 is our principal, our rate is 1%, and our time is 2 years. So all we do is multiply them together. We have 100 times 0.01. That is 1%. So when you're doing percentages, I noticed when we did another activity, y'all wasn't putting the decimal in the right spot, and it was throwing your numbers off. So make sure that when you're calculating this, you have your decimal in the right spot. So you have 100, which is your principal, times your rate, 0.01 times 2. So your answer will be $2. That's how much interest over 2 years. Okay, so you're going to round to the nearest dollar. So you have 6 of these here, and you can type directly into this. Okay, and then part 2, you're going to calculate compound interest. Calculate the future value of the following investments. You may use the compound interest calculator. So I linked it here. So I think you can just go to it. Yep. So you'll just go straight to the compound interest calculator, which looks like this. I'm gonna show you what it looks like. And I'm gonna see if I can't just put it in the chat box. So this is what it looks like. And it pulls up. So this is the compound interest calculator. So simple interest you can do. Compound interest is a little bit more detail. I'm gonna put it. So that's the link for the compound interest calculator that you can use for that second part. Okay. Let's go back. All right. So that's what you're gonna do here. You're gonna put in your information into the calculator. Oh, that's this annually. Okay. Oh, what? For number 4, change it from annually to daily. Oh, it's daily. Okay. So you'll just put in the input it into the calculator. So you have your principal or your initial investment. So here for number 1, or the example, it'll be $1,000. That's your initial investment. Okay, I'm gonna show y'all. Monthly addition, which will be $150. That's your monthly contribution. That's $150. So then your length of time in years is 15. And then your interest rate, I'm looking at the example, is 4%. And then interest rate, let me see if that gotta do something. Compounding times. So you need to make sure it's it's daily. Alright, so I'm gonna show y'all. Let me stop sharing this one so I can show y'all. Okay. Alright, so I just put all this. So this is looking at the example that they gave you. Okay. So I put in your initial investment, which is $1,000. Your monthly contribution is $150. Your length of time in years is 15 years. So all this is what they're giving you in your that part 2. And then your interest rate was 4%. Nothing goes there. And then you gotta either change it to when it tells you daily, annually. So the first one was daily, and we just calculate. So this is the answer. It's gonna be $3,814.71. So that's what they put into the future value. So that's what you'll put, and you'll do that for all of them. Okay. Just make sure you put if it's annually or daily. And I think only 2 of them are daily. The rest of them should be annually on the sheet. So you'll just input that information. That's what you'll do for the second part. So anybody got questions on that part before I go to the next part? Okay. All right. So that's part 2. Part 3. Using the rule of 72, you're going to. I think I messed this up. I don't know where that came from. Calculate how long an investment will double at a given interest rate. Reminder, the formula is time equals 72 divided by the interest rate. I'll highlight that. That's your formula. So, for example, the first one. So, we have an interest rate is 1%. So, 72 divided by 1 will give you 72 years. So, you're just taking your interest rate and dividing it 72 divided by whatever your interest rate is. And that's what you're going to put into this chart. And then the last part, you're going to answer the following questions. Now that you know more about simple and compound interest, explain how your feelings about savings has changed. So remember, yesterday I asked you about savings. So now that you know about your interest rate, how do you feel about saving? Do you feel like you should save because you can get more money accrued? You can have more money into your savings account with interest that you accrue over time. And then once you're 21 years old, or think ahead to your 21, give 2 pieces of advice about saving to your 21-year-old self. So what 2 things, what kind of advice would you give your 21-year-old self, like in a few years for some of y'all? What 2 pieces of advice would you give yourself? And then that's the whole assignment. This, I think I'm going to make this a major grade. So this will be your major grade. So y'all need to make sure that you're putting your, effort into this. I've gone over what you're supposed to do. You have your formula for the first part. You use that calculator, which I put into the chat box, but also you can just highlight it and right click in the document. I don't know why it wouldn't let me hyperlink it. It didn't hyperlink when I did it. But you can just highlight it, right click, and then explore, and it'll take you to the website. And here you just dividing 72 by whatever the interest rate is. And then the last part, you're answering the 2 questions. Some of y'all skip out on stuff. Make sure y'all answering it. So it's four parts. Make sure you're answering each part. Okay? Alright. Anybody got questions? It's in your folder, so you can go ahead and get started on it. Let me go in here. I'm gonna make it a major grade. Minors count 35%, but you need to do both to get the better grade. You need to do both, all your assignments basically. So Anybody on here got a question or need help with something? Virtual.
You are now muted. You are now unmuted.
Alright, I just finished putting in how do I get out of here. Grades for everybody. I'll start grading the assignment that is due today. Which is what's called. The top 5 list. Remember to do that. That's due today. Also, your calculating interest, the one we went over today, it'll be due by the end of the class period on Thursday. So make sure you complete those 2 assignments. I've put in the first one, so you can go in and look if you need to. I'll start putting the other in probably tomorrow during my planning period. Alright, that's all I got for y'all because the bell's about to ring here. Y'all have a great day.